Episode 37 of the Habs Culture Podcast. My name is Mark Anthony Bertaja. I'm alongside Justin Schwartz. And today we have a lot of guests in the waiting room. We have our listeners. We put on Instagram last week, I think it was, to have people join the podcast. And we have some people who reached out who wanted to join. We threw them in our waiting list here, and they're gonna come in on 5-minute intervals, say whatever they have to say, rant about whatever they want to rant about. And we'll go from there. So it's gonna be kind of an episode for me and Justin to just listen and see what others have to say about the Habs' horrible season, about anything that's going on in the National Hockey League. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, we're super excited. We're always looking for a different perspective. Say it every time we record, but it's nice to hear it from the fans. And look, like, we have our own opinions, and they're sometimes harsh opinions. Sometimes we're too easy on certain players, but now it's your guys' turn to give us your honest opinions, your honest questions, and tell us what you want us to hear and what you want everyone else to hear.
Yeah. So if we're probably gonna do this again,
absolutely
soon. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I want to be on this, then next time, just when you see that message on Instagram or that post, just hit us up and we'll do it again.
Absolutely.
So so 5-minute intervals. We got our first guest, Liam Baum, here. He's been on the podcast before, and I'll throw him in right now.
How's it going, boys? You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you. Welcome to the
All
pod.
Right, perfect.
For the third time.
Thank you. Happy to be back. It might even be the fourth time.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe fourth.
Record setting over here.
Record setting. Yeah.
Mr. Liam Baum.
Look, are we asking them questions? Like,
no, he can just go for it.
Yeah, Liam. You choose.
You're a little guinea pig.
I didn't know if you guys. I don't know if you guys wanted to say anything to me, but I actually prepared some questions for you guys.
Wow.
Jeez.
Came prepared.
Okay.
Holy cow.
Yes, I came. I took my notes.
Shoot.
So, you guys always touch base on these things. I just want to hear. Let me get on the camera more. But you guys always touch base about these things on other podcast episodes. But I just want to hear like a concrete answer, and I'll give my answer as well.
Okay.
Questions. So I'll start it off. I actually have 5 questions here.
Holy cow, let's do it.
All right. First question. Starting off strong. If you were the Habs GM at the deadline this year, what would be 2 to 3 moves you would make and the return you would expect from those players that you traded?
Okay, so I think that's a great question. It requires a little bit of thinking for sure, but I think there's a couple that me and Mark can
we can agree on.
Confidently agree on here. Number one is Sherratt for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not anything. Anything maybe like in the first round pick range plus. I think that's a great return for someone in this type of market that demands value, especially for a playoff team making a push. So anything a first plus for Sherratt for me is one move. 2, I think that the way that Artturi Lehkonen is playing, I think that if you can move him for what his value is deemed to be right now on the market, you absolutely ship him off. You look like teams like the Rangers that seem to be interested. So there's no reason to have him on our team. I know he doesn't take up too much cap space, but I think that his return does demand a lot in this market. And third, I think that this can be a little bit controversial. I would go with Jeff Petry. I think that he's a guy that, again, looking for a right-handed defenseman, a first pairing defenseman in particular. Again, a lot of teams are looking around for that type of player, especially someone in the playoffs to give them a boost. So those are my 3.
Okay, so first 2 I agree with. Sherratt, Lehkonen. Yep. Sherratt, I think first in a prospect type, like a lower end type of prospect, a B-level prospect. I don't think it has to be crazy. But if Chychrun's off the board, he's the best left shot defenseman on the market. I think you got to get a good return for him. For concerns Lehkonen, Saravalli said last week that they're comparing him to the Blake Coleman deal last trade deadline, and that got that return was a first and Nolan
and plus
and Foot,
Nolan
right?
Foot, yeah.
Nolan Foot. So I don't know, Lehkonen, I think he can fetch a first. If it's to the team that that first round pick is probably going to be 25th and over. But a first is a first, especially at the drafts in Montreal. You can accumulate as many as you can. And again, a B-level prospect. And third, I'm going to go with Mike Kaufman.
Okay.
He just looks like a guy who doesn't want to be here, and nothing against him. I think he's a good hockey player. But I think you can fetch a good return for a guy who's a proven goal scorer. Maybe in the playoffs, he played well in Ottawa back in the day. So who knows if a team looks at that and says maybe he can help us for a nice run. That return, I wouldn't expect a first round pick. maybe a pair of seconds. Honestly, it's tough with that contract.
It's tough with it's also tough to gauge the market too, and this is what I want to hear from you, Liam, as well, right? Like the market hasn't been set yet, and we have no idea. Like the second that a guy like Chychrun comes off the board, right then and there, you're gonna have an idea about what Sherrod goes for. A guy like Petry. So I think, look, I'm curious to hear what you have to say as well, but I think that. Look, we're willing to move anyone, but I think the Sherrod, Lehkonen are kind of set in stone for us, and then you can add in even Gallagher, for example, to a contending team. So those are guys for us.
Yeah, so I'll just jump in. I'll say Sherrod and Lehkonen 100% need to be moved, and the third guy, I would think Hoffman as well. I think it was just a signing to fill a roster spot, not a hole, like you guys said in the past, and that's essentially one of the biggest problems this year with the Habs. But the thing is with the trade deadline is that no player is actually worth what they're considered to be worth. They're worth way more because people are buying and they're paying for these rentals to win the cup, right? So we might think Lehkonen, oh, he's a third line player. He's just a depth player, but he's going to be worth probably like what a top 6 forward would usually get a return of, right?
Absolutely. Right, and again, I'll just chime in quickly, but you look at a guy like Nick Felino last trade deadline. I mean, he fetched a first. He contributed nothing to that Leafs team in the first round of the playoffs. So with that being said, I mean, again, is Nick Felino worth a first round pick in closer to the deadline? Maybe, but right here and now, absolutely not. So you're absolutely right.
Okay, so
and remember, like 3 years ago, Vegas traded for Thomas Tatar. They traded a first, a second, and a third for him. He played one playoff game or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you never know. Anyways,
so we're reaching the 5-minute mark, but I'm gonna let you go. We'll go to 10 minutes. So
we'll do 10 minutes
for everyone listening, if you want to go to 10 minutes, you can. But if you have nothing to say, just let us know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 10 minutes, but
it's a trial and error a little bit. So we'll work with what we got.
But since Liam sets the standards here, we'll put it to 10.
All right. Next question. Do you see guys like RHP, Raphael Harvey-Pinard, Pezzetta, and Pitlick on the roster next year?
You want to go first with this one?
Sure. I definitely see Rem Pitlick on the roster. I think Jeff Gordon brought him in for a reason. RHP, look, again, these are guys that are going to need completely new evaluations because these are guys that were evaluated by Marc Bergevin and his staff. Do I think he can play a great bottom 6 role in the future? Yes. Do I think he takes a spot on the 4th line? Sure. Look, I can't say 100% if I see him there. I'd like to see him there. I see Pezzetta there, considering if you're moving out guys this trade deadline in the offseason, might as well slot those guys in. But yeah, I'd see an Islandin, RHP, and Pezzetta, but I'd focus more on the Palins and the Islandins over those guys. But RHP definitely, could be an option.
For me, I think all three. I'll tell you, and there's one reason for me. Again, low expectations with this hockey team. Now going into next year, you're presumably going to be picking in the top 3. There's going to be a lot of moves being made at the deadline, but not only the deadline, but also in the offseason. So with that being said, I think that, again, you're going into next season with a very fresh, a very young hockey team that is looking to prove why they deserve a roster spot. Now, a guy like Rem Pitlick has shown why he deserves a roster spot. Raphael Harvey-Pinard has shown why he deserves a roster spot, and so is Pezzetta. Maybe it's a limited role on the 4th line, playing 10 minutes a game, but regardless, you need those types of players on your roster. So I absolutely, to answer your question, I would say all 3 for sure. And on top of that, these hockey players are not going to be playing with very many expectations for the next maybe 2, even maybe 3 seasons. So it's time to show your worth and prove why you deserve a spot.
Yeah, I'll say all 3 as well.
Liam, we'll do one, maybe 2 more questions.
Yeah, sounds good. Would you who would you consider to be the 5 players the Canadians will essentially build around for the next 5 years, let's say?
Yeah, see, last episode we did 3, right?
Yeah, so this is going to make it a little bit tougher. Yeah. Just to narrow your question down a little bit, like, does a guy like Caden Gooley count, for example?
Yes.
Okay.
Any prospect or roster player on the Habs that you will see on the team for the next 5 years.
So even without an ELC?
Yes.
Okay.
So could be anyone.
So for me, I would go like Suzuki Caulfield locked in right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely locked in. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated.
Yeah,
I think that there's one guy, and we've talked about this, and you convinced me of it, Mark, that needs to stay on this team despite his age and contract, it's Josh Anderson.
Okay.
Now, you might be thinking, why on earth would you want to, build your team around him?
Mhm.
You need someone with some veteran experience and some experience on how to win some playoff games. So I'm putting Anderson there, maybe a little bit prematurely, but we'll leave him there for now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think a guy like Caden Gooley, like I think
5 is tough.
5 is tough. Am I struggling here? Like, I think is
I
Caden
have
Gooley a
too
legitimate
many.
response?
Like I have too many guys.
I have too many also. And I'm gonna
Romanov
shoot out
too?
a dark horse.
Like if I'm my answer, I'm just gonna exclude veterans, even though I completely agree that you need older guys to build a team in the future. But if a GM came to me and said, "Give me 5 untouchables," Suzuki, Caulfield, Romanov, Norlinder, Primo.
So you exclude Gooley from that list. It's tough.
Oh, 100%. I'd build around them. Like obviously, if I had a 6
Right,
guy,
but
it's
if you had
Gooley.
to
There's
pick
Norris.
5,
You
right,
know what I
okay.
mean?
But Romanov's not in that picture?
No, he is.
Oh, sorry.
It was
I missed that.
Romanov
What about for
and
you?
Norlinder.
What are your 5? Just out of curiosity, Liam.
I'm gonna go Suzuki, Caulfield, obviously.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna go Gooley, Romanov, and Primo. I think we have to keep Primo.
I think that's a
we have to
legitimate
keep Primo,
list.
yeah.
I think that's very fair.
I didn't think you guys would say Primo. I thought that was more of a dark horse, just because there's so many guys who I think are above him in terms of prospect rankings.
I don't know. If you look at other teams and how they struggled with goaltending situations over the years, you need to keep a kid that can actually play in
For
nets.
sure.
Right.
And again, I
Oh.
think having veterans are very important, but just in terms
Yeah,
of building
exactly.
around.
Yeah, but
in this
when
little
you're
game,
looking
it's
at,
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this little game narrows it down for
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we reached a 10-minute mark. I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, that went really quick.
That went
We
really
thought-
quick.
We thought 5 would work.
Yeah. But Liam, great questions. We thank you for tuning in. Feel free to stay in the.
And the next and
lobby.
your other 2 questions could be asked next time we do
Oh yeah.
this.
So save
For
them.
sure,
Save them.
for
Unless
sure.
Unless
it's about
they-
a certain player and it's
Unless
completely
it's
irrelevant.
Ducharme and Ducharme's gone by then.
Yeah.
But who
Which I
knows?
doubt. So thanks,
All
Liam.
right.
Appreciate it, Liam.
Thanks,
See you next
boys.
time.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Stay safe.
All right. So next is Justin Grinnell. So we'll add him to the stream. All right, I think he's muted.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
How
hey,
are
what's
you?
up?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
No worries.
Of course.
So Liam just had questions for us. I don't know if you want to just rant about something, talk about something, or if you have questions, we can ask you questions, whatever you want. So you let us know.
Yeah, well, no, just hop right in. I don't know. I mean, I want to talk about the coaching situation, of course.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of talk about Ducharme and his ability to be behind the bench there, and I don't know. I feel. I mean, I said since the beginning of the playoffs last year that I hope this job wouldn't just be handed to him because of the playoff run.
Mhm.
And I don't know. There's obviously a lot of personnel lacking right now. You got injuries and your key guys. You lost a lot of guys from that playoff team last year. You can't forget guys like KK and Petry. But it seemed like this Ducharme move, not only is it not working right now, but I think a big piece of the puzzle that people forget to mention a lot is Joel Bouchard, who we ended up losing because of that move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Bouchard was one of the best things that happened to that organization because it was finally putting an end to the years of destruction of the youth that was Sylvain Lefebvre.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's one way to put it. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it was bad. I mean, it was just we had no player
bad.
development. It was. I mean, there's almost no drafted Habs players that made it through the junior system, like the junior system, the minor system. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I'll just throw this right out. Do you fire him now, Justin, or do you fire him off season, or do you wait till his
I'd
contract
fire
expires?
him in the off season, honestly.
Off season. Okay.
I would have fired him a year ago. And I'm
well,
you
you would have not promoted him.
I want to let him speak,
okay.
but I'm gonna say that, and I think that we can agree. No, I'm mad about this. But
I agree.
Give me a death there.
But I think that we can both agree, Justin and Justin here, Justin to Justin basis, is that a big part of the reason that he was extended, and to me, one of the only reasons he was extended is because he went on that playoff run. Anything else, he's not returning back, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
that's why I don't think that his extension is motivated. Like it's earned. I just don't feel like I feel like the job was given to him because of that playoff run. He took over the team from Julien. I And that's the other thing. I don't really see him getting fired because it'd add another third coach to the current payroll. They're still
I
paying
don't.
Julien.
Yeah.
They'd obviously still be paying Ducharme.
Mm-hmm.
I
At the
don't
end of
know.
the day, I
I
think
just
Molson just wants to win, right?
yeah,
At what
and
cost? I
that's
don't know.
exactly with the Habs finally moving over to the more modern structure of managing a franchise with Gorton obviously coming in.
Well,
I think.
I think what you bring up here is important because it definitely begs the question of, look, you have Gorton and Kent Hughes here. Now, Kent Hughes in his press conference, and I'm sure a lot of the people that are in here probably listened to it or heard clips of it, and we talked about it last episode. I'm not going to say that he didn't really talk much about Ducharme, but he definitely didn't say anything good about Ducharme,
Yeah.
and he didn't really praise the way that he's handled this team so far. And I think that the way that Molson has gone so far, he's really wiped his personnel entirely. So I think that going forward, and I agree with you, I don't think it's a move that's going to come right now, but come the offseason, I really don't see Ducharme being given another chance. But I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
No, I agree. I don't see him surviving the off season. You heard guys like Petry talking about there's a lack of system. I don't know how much the system is lacking versus how much is the execution, because you can't take out the fact that you've got half an AHL roster. So, I mean, there's a bunch of variables that you got to consider when it comes to Ducharme and how the team's been performing. But it just seems like so much of it can be linked back to coaching, and it seems like the losses that came from this promotion, whether it be moral losses or actual losses on the ice, they outweigh the positives of having Ducharme there.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me chiming in one more time here, but what I wanted to say is that I also feel like that extension gave him security, right? And we have to keep in mind that the second he signs that 3-year extension, he in his mind, he believes that now this is his team. And Bergevin is the one that grants him permission to take control of this team and kind of do what he wants with it. But clearly, we've seen so far, and look, it's a losing season, and we've committed to that. But at the end of the day, how long you can lose, but there's a difference between losing, but also bettering your team / developing your younger guys. And we haven't seen any of that so far this season. So that's what scares me a little bit.
Do you guys? Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add that obviously the losing environment that the Habs are currently living in is no good for the development of the youngsters. I mean, obviously the example of Primo is often used because he's right now the starting goaltender. You'd rather have him in Laval playing a full season on a winning team than having him in the show getting lit up and losing. Like it just doesn't help the development. If anything, it contradicts it.
For sure. Like if it were up to me, I'd send Caulfield down as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, 100%.
I'll go by last names here, Grinnell, because this is two Justins. Do you wipe the whole coaching staff, or is there one person you keep? Is Burrows still safe? Or do you think Hughes just goes in there, chooses a head coach, and that head coach chooses who he wants?
I keep Burrows, but I mean, we heard the management talking about how they're going to assess everyone, so they're not playing favorites. They're not coming in with a bias. It's clean slate. Everyone has to prove that they deserve the job that they have right now, and if they don't, well, they're out of town. So I think it's the right approach. It's tough love, but it's a business. They're the Habs. They have to win games, and I mean, if it means losing guys that maybe we would keep because of what they've done in the past, then I'm here for it.
Right.
And lastly, like for both of you, do you think it's a red flag when you're in the conference finals and your coach leaves to quarantine and you play even better hockey?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'd say
like is it Richardson who comes with a new approach, or is he just say, you know what, guys, just keep doing what you're doing under Ducharme's system. I'm not gonna. He had to have said something. There's no way he goes behind the bench and just says, all right, I'm gonna FaceTime Dominic and
ask him what the system is
and just guys play the system. Like there has to be something.
But sorry, I just have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
When I know Richardson came in, but at what point was it exactly?
It was after game 1 against Vegas, I believe.
Okay, so here's the question that I'm going to ask both of you. I believe a lot. Look, I play hockey. I not as much anymore, but I believe in chemistry, and I believe in a team working together with some sort of continuity and some sort of chemistry, right? what like something leads me to believe that this playoff run had nothing to do with the coaching and the way that they played. I believe that they just all came together and said, look, we're on a goal to win the Stanley Cup and we're on a goddamn mission right here.
Yeah.
But this mission is only going to be
100%.
accomplished if we can all come to play together, and Suzuki plays with Caulfield and they gel, and you have Toffoli addition, and then you have Sherratt playing well with Petry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So who knows how much Richardson and Ducharme legitimately played in this playoff run.
I agree completely. I mean, system and the base, like playing the game will only get you so far with the system. You can know how to do the stuff. You can learn it. You can apply it. But playing with the fire they played with in the playoffs after that series versus Toronto, like they sweep the Jets after, like it felt like it was just more than them playing hockey games to win. Everyone had a purpose. Everyone was fighting together for that same purpose. And I mean, to come so close, it was just heartbreaking, obviously. So I agree completely. I don't think that coaching had as big a role as you would think.
Right.
I'm not neglecting its use, of course, obviously, but I think that just the emotion of the playoffs has such an underrated role in games that are played in the playoffs, of course. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Grinnell, you have 2 minutes left. Is there anything you want to touch on before you head out? Is there a last comment?
That was
It was coaching.
I'll make a comment. I wanted to congratulate Habs legend David Desharnais on making Team Canada.
Good for him,
Good
man.
for him.
Well deserved.
There's
Couple
like
Habs legends there.
Like that power play can be consisted of Jordan Wheel, David Desharnais, Eric Stahl, Mark
Stahl.
Barberio. That's hey, look at that. Then you have
Holy
Claude Julien
cow.
behind the bench.
Maybe the Habs do
Representing.
develop players.
Yeah, Olympic players. Can't forget
But
that.
in the long term, it finally works
In the
out.
long term, when the Stars don't want to go.
Long term.
Yeah.
20 years later.
Yeah.
Look, Laval's probably happy. They got some Rocket legends going for gold. So
There you go.
So yeah, Justin, we thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks
Keep
a
up
lot,
the
man.
good work,
we can do
guys.
this again.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.
For sure. See ya.
All right. Next, it's so cool. I don't know.
I
Just
love it.
throwing people in here.
Having a good time.
Next we're supposed to have Giuliano, but he just left the session here.
No problem.
I'll wait 2 more minutes. For him to join. Oh,
is he back?
Yeah, he's back. He's back.
back.
All right, so I'll add him. I'll add him now. I don't know if he's preparing. There we go. So we'll get him in here. Giuliano.
How's it going, boys?
How are you?
Hey,
It's
what's
good.
up?
How are you, boy?
Good,
Oh,
good.
bad.
Well,
Sorry about that.
No
Good.
worries.
To
What's on
start
your
off,
mind?
sorry.
What's on your mind, my friend?
Wow. A lot of things. A lot of things. I mean, first off, I think we could all agree here. We've just completely given up with this season. The past couple of games have been super brutal. I mean, like they've been playing super well lately. Like the past 3-4 games against Minnesota was an exception, but I think last night against who was it that they played? Anaheim. That's right. I think they really picked it up. The first period was brutal, but I think with the Canadians is that they're used to frequent changes. So when something's not going their way, they'll change it immediately, and that'll affect the way they play. And it's all in their mental heads, it's all in their mental game. It's not always a physical part, but it's the energy on the ice,
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's about having a little bit of consistency, which we've been saying since day one, which they continue to lack since we started this podcast, little less than a year ago, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best time to start a podcast because they're not doing too well. But I mean, it is also good because, they're giving us something to talk about, which is good because we could feed off this and the media and the fans coming together can maybe help the staff or the employees of the Habs make decisions. But obviously the way Jeff Gordon, Jeff Molson handled it so far, which is another point I want to bring up. How do you guys feel about the situation that when Jeff Gordon stepped in and like what he's done behind the scenes. How do you feel about that?
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think Jeff Gordon was a great addition. He's a real hockey guy. I think it's clear from his press conferences, clear from if you look at his past history, what he's done. It's very rare, or I don't remember the last time the Habs had a guy at the top of hockey operations who's built his way up into hockey. Marc Bergevin played in the NHL for a long time. He was AGM in Chicago and then became the GM here. So it's good to see a guy build his way up the ladder. I think he's a smart guy. I loved what he did with the Rangers. And honestly, I think it's a new perspective, not only with him, but with Kent Hughes, just to see those three guys, including Jeff Molson, that are going to bring a different culture to this team that we haven't seen in a while, a winning culture.
I agree with that.
I think it's good. It's a good
I
view.
agree with
Yeah,
that.
and I'll just
I'm
chip
just
in
gonna add
quickly.
on that
Yeah.
quick. I'm just gonna add on. Sorry, Justin.
No, you're good.
What's it called? Do you guys think that Jeff Gordon is really the general manager of this team, and they just needed like a spokesperson to like talk in front of the media?
So it's funny. We've talked about
Yeah.
this off camera, and the one thing that I'll say is that I heavily believe that. I did believe that, and I agree with like I really did think that whoever they brought in was kind of going to be like a puppet, if you will.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of getting the idea and the impression that, look, Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon, look, we know, we've heard it all. They're not best friends, and they've made that clear. But I do think that they are going to work together to a certain extent. And look, I just don't think that Jeff Gordon's going to be over Kent Hughes' shoulder micromanaging every single move. But I do
they'll
think
work well
Yeah.
together, honestly. I think
so
they're
do
gonna like blend very well together and make, very good decisions to make this hockey team a lot better in the future. Like Kent Hughes was saying in the press conference, I don't know if you guys watched, but he wanted a more offensive team, a puck moving team. Now as I see our team, it's more of a defensive team. We rely all on our big defense, on our defensive systems, but like our systems up front aren't working. Like dumping and chasing the puck in on the power plays, it's not working. Like that's another thing. I know Justin previously he just mentioned coaching, but I think that's a big change that the Habs have to make is systems and power plays, penalty kill. I mean, our penalty kill hasn't been that bad. That's probably the only thing that I'm actually proud of this team for right now. But I think coaching in general, they just need a clean wipe and they need to bring new guys in.
I think we mentioned this last episode, just back on the Ken Hughes thing. Was it you maybe? We don't think that Ken Hughes would have left being such a big player agent and at the top of such a big agency just to be micromanaged. So that's another key.
True.
Like if there was another guy, maybe would have thought. But this guy left and he kind of had to be convinced to come here. So I don't think he's going to be micromanaged. On the coaching standpoint, like we said, yeah, I agree. Just wipe it all.
Yeah. The thing about Kent Hughes, though, what you just said about convincing, like how he was like, he didn't like want to be the GM, like there was a bit of pressure on him. But I think, like you said in the press conference, again, that he said he was the right guy for this position, and working alongside Jeff Gordon and, of course, Jeff Molson, I think they're going to work all together instead of working individually,
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's the fact that he didn't want to be GM. I think it was just hard for him to leave his other job. It's tough, especially
financially and legally, right?
Yeah, that's very true.
But
another thing I wanted to cut. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add to your point about the coaching thing. Like Ducharme, like I said, should have been gone a long time ago. Now,
I don't agree with the signing. I'm sorry. That made no sense to me. It's just like he has no NHL experience. Like I get it. He coached World Juniors. Yeah, he won gold, I think it was. But you got to bring in a guy with like NHL experience. A guy that knows how the NHL works. Yeah, completely. It's different speed. It's the mental game. It's just everything. Like you're dealing with kids compared to like a various age group. It's not just young guys. You're dealing with older guys with families, with stuff going on in their own lives. And that's everybody.
Absolutely.
But I think the way Ducharme has handled this, I'm not too confident in what he has in his future, and I think they honestly, they need to let him go. Even though he does have, 2 years left on his contract. It's just a
That's not
sacrifice they're gonna have to make unless they keep him for the next 3 years while they're under development. But if you want a good development for your players, you got to bring in a good guy.
Mhm.
Right. It might not be worth the
Yeah,
risk.
he's not the guy. He's not the guy.
That's it. I don't think so either.
Agree.
Another thing I wanted to just point out was goaltending. Obviously, we all know Carey Price. I don't know where he stands right now. I know I read up something last week about he was just recovering from his leg injury. I think it was. He tweaked it in the playoffs, but I think it's more than that. I think there's stuff going on around him. Maybe it was the playoff loss. It could be stuff off the ice with family issues. But would you guys say he wants to retire in Montreal?
I would like to think so, but at the end of the day, he can also flip the script and tell us, or tell the manager, tell us. He can definitely
He
not
could tell
telling
us if he
us,
wants.
but he could definitely approach Ken Hughes, approach Jeff Gordon, and say, look, I've enjoyed my time here, and I think I've built a nice resume for myself, but I want to win, and I don't think here right now in this 5-year window he's going to be winning anytime soon. So,
No.
Look, I think
especially if there is a rebuild to say, like everybody's been expecting. But going back to that is, we have a lot of depth in our young goaltending. I think with Primo, the way Montembeault has been playing the past couple of games, the past 2 weeks, he's been really saving us. He's been saving 40 shots, 30 shots a game. It's crazy on what a young goaltender can do like that, and you just bring him in and he performs like that. It proves like he wants a spot on this team. But I think if we go, this is really big here, but I think if we trade Price, get a good offensive forward, maybe like a Stamkos kind of guy, like Petrus Bergeron, something like that, I think that could really change us, because goaltending isn't our whole team. Honestly, I think Carey Price is our main player. When everybody hears of the Montreal Canadiens, they think Carey Price, but goalies can't do everything. Goalies can't score. And I think our biggest problem is scoring. So I think they need to bring in a guy that has the offensive power and the IQ to work with different kind of players, younger, older, whatever it is, and just, give the team confidence. Give a guy like Caulfield confidence. Give a guy like Suzuki confidence to play on the ice, because I see when I'm watching the games, like, it's just they're lost out there, They don't know how to play with each other. Ducharme, he's switching up the lines every couple of shifts. There's no chemistry, like that was previously said. Like, I think having a nice consistent line going for them, maybe put Caulfield and Suzuki back together, could really work out for them.
Sure.
Yeah,
Agreed.
definitely.
Absolutely.
So we reached the 10-minute mark. Was there anything that you wanted to say quickly that was on your mind?
No.
Was all
Thank you
covered?
guys for having me.
Yeah, no
Thanks
worries.
for
It was
coming
fun.
on,
It was a
man.
good conversation. There's honestly so much to cover here, and I think we did a
Yeah.
lot there.
Wish I had more time, but I know other
Matt,
people
we'll do it
have-
again.
next
We'll
time.
definitely do it again. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right,
Excellent.
thanks for joining
Have a
us.
Yeah.
Before we enter the next guest,
Yeah.
I sent you an article yesterday. It was from TVA that apparently Kent Hughes said Carey Price is intouchable. Well, it's intouchable, the word in French.
So untouchable, right?
Yeah, untouchable. Yeah, sorry.
Intouchable.
It was intouchable. That was the
Right.
word. Look,
That's
could it?
interesting to me, though.
But
Mark.
it's a quote from a quote.
Right, and it could be misinterpreted.
It could be
right?
misinterpreted. But if that's the way he's going, sure.
Like it to me, and before we get the next person, I'm going to say quickly, but to me, it doesn't matter which way it goes. If you trade him to a contending team and you retain some sort of cap and you're able to get something in return, great. But at the same time, if you hold on to his cap space or his, let's just call it dead cap, that's not going to really affect the Habs in the next 4 to 5 year window.
You reach the floor and
you call it a day, right?
put his jersey in the rafters.
There
That's
you go.
simple. All right, next we got Matthew. There you go. Matthew's in.
What's going on, Matt?
Hey, guys.
Oh,
Thanks
Oh,
for
there we
having
go. There we go. No worries. No worries.
my camera here.
how's
all
it
right.
going?
Good, and you?
All good over here.
Good.
All right. So before I started, I had something I want to say, but you just brought up the whole untouchable thing.
Mhm.
I think the word untouchable in the NHL means absolutely nothing.
That's fair.
I think they say that to the media because they want to drive the price up. Obviously, he wants either Edmonton, Colorado to pay more for Price, so he's using the word untouchable. I'm sure he uses it in private meetings with Sakic or whoever it is, or Holland. But something I read that was interesting was that he said that they're going to name a captain next year,
Mm-hmm.
which means if you think about it, the only guy they're going to name is Gallagher.
No, I don't think so.
Or Suzuki, maybe.
Suzuki.
You think Suzuki?
Yeah.
You think he could handle the pressure at
Mhm.
his age?
Look,
If
just,
Brady Tkachuk can, I don't see
well,
why Suzuki can't.
you know, like, look, like, do I think? Sorry, before you go, I think Gallagher deserves it.
Yep.
Like, but it also begs the question, right? Like, is he here at that? Like, he might be gone. Like, he could ultimately be gone. Who knows, man? It's a mess. But
I think you have to trade him. You have to.
Well, you said Tkachuk, right, on Ottawa?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is with Tkachuk is that the Senators are Brady Tkachuk's team. They're filled with
Yeah.
young guys, and he's like built to lead that team. The thing is with Suzuki, you got older guys like Mike Kaufman who came here because he said, "Look, the Habs just went to the finals. I want to win a cup." Like,
Mhm.
you think Mike Hoffman's gonna say,
No.
"Oh yeah, in the locker room, Nick Suzuki's my captain," and like Gallagher, like that's why I think Gallagher deserved it over Weber in the first place. But that's another story.
Yeah.
And then, but Gallagher's beat up. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to Liam the other day, and we both agree he needs like 2 years rehab. to
That's
fully
why I
get
trade him.
himself.
stone. His hands are stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his whole body's destroyed. I don't think he could play hockey. Well, I mean he can, but it's like
Just
in
not
his
at
condition.
as a high
Mhm.
at a high level, as high of a level as he was before, right? So
Look,
As a
when-
30 goal scorer, exactly.
yeah, when people ask who do you build this team around for the next few years, it always starts with the name Nick Suzuki, and I think give him the letter on his jersey.
That's fair. So the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is obviously I see you guys tweet a lot and about the certain movement, and that is the pain for Shane movement that I
Okay.
find
it's,
very
like
it's a
that.
hot
interesting.
topic. Yeah.
I like this. I like
Yeah,
this. Bring it
So
on.
obviously, if the Habs finish dead last, they are guaranteed a top 3 pick, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
If you look at the odds, though, they have a 55.6% chance of hitting their death pick, and that is the 3rd overall pick.
Third overall,
But we
yeah.
all know how that goes
Mhm.
with the Montreal Canadiens. So my question was, obviously, if they pick 2 or 3, who do you want them to take instead of Wright?
Good question. So I just
Yeah.
want to bring something up here because Mark and I have discussed this before, but
Mhm.
the one thing is that it almost might be beneficial to not get the 1st overall pick. And you might, and I don't know if you agree with that or disagree with that, but the thing is for us is that, look, Shane Wright is a great, fantastic hockey player and he's good at certain things, but is he great? Is he that guy? We don't know, but it might force other teams to say, look, we have to take Shane Wright. So whoever falls to us next is best player
Mhm.
available. We take him. But in my opinion, I think Logan Cooley,
Yeah, Logan
consensus
Cooley.
is that number 2. But look, it's still up in the air. Number 3, I'm a big Matt Savoie guy. But I'm not a huge draft guy, and that's why we're gonna get Liam's brother in here to explain us some of the
Yeah.
draft stuff. But I would say those 3. And look, there's some right-handed defensemen out there, but our RD is pretty set in terms of future. So
Yeah.
I think you need to take one of those best player available type guys.
Mhm. I'd go Cooley, 100%. I think he's one of those Americans where there's always that guy who comes out of that development program. Trevor Zegras, there's Cole Caulfield, there's Turcotte. I feel like there's always that guy who
Austin
comes out and
Matthews.
is just a stud, right? Look, if you get 1st overall pick, there's so much pressure on not only are you going to take Wright or not, or if you do take him and he doesn't pan out, you look like an idiot. And if you don't take him and he does pan out, you look like an even bigger idiot. So is it like we said? I think it might be beneficial just to get number 2. If they don't take Wright, then you take Wright at 2.
Right, because then it's like an obvious
You have to
thing.
take him,
Yeah.
right? If they take Wright, then you go for your guy Cooley or Savoie.
Or whoever.
Defenseman, yeah, I think you got to stop picking defensemen in the top rounds because you guys have you have Harris who's saying like there's no more room for me. I'm going to go to
Right.
Boston as a UFA. So
That's true.
give him some room.
Mac, just a quick question. Is that along the lines of what your order would be, or is there anything that stands out to you?
I'm happy you asked me that because I actually agreed with you when you said Shane with the whole Shane Wright thing. Because if you look at his WHL numbers now, he's barely over point per game.
Right.
So he's not like if you look at the last top 10 projected 1st overall picks, I'm pretty sure he's like dead last. He's
Right.
not producing at a 1st overall pick level. So if the Habs manage to drop into that 2-3 spot and get Cooley or Savoie, I think that's probably going to end up better for them
Mhm.
because just in the pressure too, being drafted first overall, unless you're obviously Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby and you're guaranteed generational talent, like it's so hard.
Right. No, I definitely agree. Yeah, look, I mean, I think that this draft, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm making not an assumption, but an educated assumption, an educated guess that this draft has a lot of talent. However, it doesn't have anything exceptional. And it's tough for a Montreal Canadiens team who kind of needs that exceptional right now. We're kind of a year ahead, unfortunately. But with all that being said, I think that there's still so much talent within the top 5, even reaching to the top 7, top 10, but preferably in the top 5, of course. So look, I'm okay with anyone, but I almost rather not take right there because look, his numbers are underwhelming in a junior league in the WHL. And look, if he was putting up those numbers in Finland, like I would say, holy cow, you're insane. Like but he's not. And it's the WHL, and his points per game is not where it should be right now. So begs a lot of questions for sure.
It sucks that he has exceptional status though, because then it makes you like want to take him.
But
really
Sean
bad.
Day had exceptional
Exactly.
Yeah,
status.
that's what I was
Felino
just
had
going to
it.
say.
Yeah, Joe Felino had it. Everyone had it, but this draft reminds me a lot of 2017, where the Elias Pettersson of the 5th overall pick is going to be the best player out of the draft,
That's
or the
possible.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Not the Nico Hischier or the Nolan Patrick. Heiskanen is up there, but you know what I mean?
Not Kel
He went
McCarr.
third. It was Kel McCarr. Yeah, see 3, 4, 5. Those are the best. Yeah, those are the best ones.
Yeah. Well, because I'm just hoping with a lot of Habs fans, because I think back, obviously, if you look at the 2015 season, right? And I'm looking at the numbers now. Buffalo had a 20% shot at winning the lottery, but we know who ended up with Connor McDavid. The Oilers had a 11% shot. And I'm wondering if the Habs don't draft first, like if the fan base is going to go nuts, like, or you know what? Maybe they're actually willing to give the guy they draft at 2 or 3 a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to hit, in my opinion. You just got to hit.
And look, and like Mac, like honestly, and this is between us 3 right here. If the Montreal Canadiens do not hit on this draft pick, like in the top 5, assuming, like this is gonna pose a lot of
the
problems.
most important pick of the next 5 years.
And look, you could say, oh, next year, like let's say we were to get, let's just say Savoie, you get Savoie, then you get Michkov the year after. Let's say you're just that bad,
lucky, yeah,
you're that lucky. Like, I don't care. I still think that this is what Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon are going to say. Look, we have this draft pick. Now let's see how we can build around this draft pick. But if you mess that up, you're messing up big time. And I think a lot of pressure's on this management going forward.
Yeah. Do you guys like Jeff Gordon as
I love him.
chief of hockey operation? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, like, with the Rangers, right? They didn't need a full rebuild. They needed a retool, right? So they got Panarin, and that team is completely just 360. The Metro, like, what are they? They're first, I believe, in the Metropolitan Division, which is stacked.
They're hot.
But,
They're hot.
But like the thing is with the Habs, though, they need a full rebuild, and it's like, can he do it? Like, and can he? And the thing is with the Habs, the biggest meme, it's oh yeah, give them another 3 years, give them another 2 years. Like, this might take, honestly, like another 7 to 8 years.
But do they need a full like? I know they need like a. No, but
Don't
here's the
start
thing.
this,
I'm not
though.
saying retool. I'm just saying.
I think they do.
Look, if you're building a house, I think the Habs, the basement's there. The basement's already there. You got
With
Romanov,
third round picks?
No. You got Romanov, Suzuki, Harris, Struble, Caulfield, Gooley.
Right.
You got your guys, Primo, Norlander.
Logan Meyer.
And then you got your look. Is Chris Kreider like a Tyler Toffoli in this situation?
Is a Chris Kreider or Tyler Toffoli in this? I would compare more Chris Kreider to the Josh Anderson in this situation.
Yeah, just Chris Kreider scores a lot.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
Chris
but I'm not comparing
Kreider-
the player. I'm not comparing the player. I'm comparing the type of contract and what the
Oh,
because
no.
Kreider sat through that quote unquote retool.
No, it's because I'm
Yeah,
comparing
that's
this.
true.
If you look at the Rangers
true.
now, obviously they got Panarin, but the Habs don't have a market to get a first.
Well, you throw money at the guy and come to the Big Apple. I mean, it's
it's easy. It's easy.
Come
Yep.
get some slush on the street.
But if you, but if you,
You get a free
build around,
pylon.
if you build around the basement, like I just said, the basement, and you keep a guy like Toffoli, who in 2 years can still probably maybe score 25.
Right, but Mark, that also, and I want to hear what Mac has to say too,
Mhm.
but it also brings up the question, does Tyler Toffoli demand something on this trade market right now? And
Oh,
the
that's
answer
it's a
to
different
me,
topic. Yeah.
the answer, but it is a different topic, but they're interrelated just because that will, whoever leaves at this deadline / offseason, like, and whoever remains is probably going to remain for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
You're not keeping
Unless they're
Anderson
injured.
around for 1 year if you can move him now.
No,
You'll keep him
I
around for
agree.
4-5.
just Toffoli's value might be more important to Suzuki than to the trade market.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
I can, but that yes.
Yeah,
But his trade value is probably like you can probably fetch something amazing for Tyler Toffoli.
I think so. Like I was trying to think. I know Calgary wanted him. I forget what the return was though.
I'm sure
I don't
Vancouver wants
remember.
him.
Vancouver
Yeah,
probably wants him
well,
back.
for
their
him to
new
go back
GM.
to the Canucks. Yeah, I don't even know if they're gonna make the playoffs. The Canucks. Who knows?
So
Well, now
so
they have the Pittsburgh AGM. You're a Pittsburgh fan?
Yeah, I'm a Penguins fan. I like to watch my team win.
Yeah.
I enjoy
So-
it.
So I have a question. So we'll leave
Yeah.
it at this. How about this? Montreal ends up drafting top 3. They don't
Mhm.
get number 1. Okay. They get number 2. Are you look? I don't know how much you know about the draft, but presumably with what you know, who are you taking there? Is it an easy answer in Logan Cooley, or is there someone else that sticks out to you?
I like Matthew Savoie 100% over Logan Cooley.
Okay.
He's a bit smaller. Well, not really, because Cooley's 5'10", Savoie's 5'9", but Savoie's bigger. He's 10 pounds heavier, and he's the fastest skater in the draft.
His acceleration is insane.
Yeah, and he's
But
playing
why
with
wasn't
a
he
guy.
invited to the camp, to the World Junior
yeah,
camp?
that's a good question. 'Cause I
I've
don't know.
always wanted to know that. Why wasn't he? There has to be something, and I want to know.
Does
you
he
know
have a
what I
bad
think?
his
attitude?
age.
What?
I think it's his age. I
How
think
old
it's
is
just
he?
he was too young.
Well, Bedard's 16. I know he's amazing.
Yeah, but Bedard. Okay, yeah, but Bedard's next level.
yeah,
Right.
That's like he's 2 steps ahead every single person in this year's draft.
Mhm.
but I feel like a top 5 pick should be at the World Juniors. And what's that reason why he wasn't? I
I
want
don't
to
know.
know.
Maybe it was an
If
attitude
I'm a scout,
issue.
that's
They'll
what I
see
want
in
to know.
his-
Yeah.
Well,
But
they'll
they
see in his
they-
interview.
But you can also ask the question as to why they didn't invite Brant Clark, who got drafted at 5th overall last year.
True.
Like that
Very
makes
true.
no
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
That's an
So-
attitude thing, I'm pretty sure. I've
Yeah,
read some stuff about Clark in the locker room. Apparently, he's not a fun guy.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's we'll leave it on that nugget of information.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, Matt.
Yeah.
Really.
Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us.
Ton of fun.
Thank you too. Bye.
Have a good one.
See you again.
So now we kind of just did a shallow dive into the draft,
Shallow, and now we have our.
but now we
correct
have
button.
now we have our scout.
We have our director of amateur scouting for Habs culture, Rylan Baum,
We
brother
should
of Liam
actually
Baum.
do that on draft day. Rylan will be here.
Rylan, okay. Well, I added him to the stream. Let's see if he. If
Maybe he went to
he's-
get a snack.
Yeah.
He was last in line.
I'm here.
Oh, he's
brother.
there. He's there. Okay,
What's
our
going on?
amateur scouts here. Our amateur scouts here. King of the World Juniors. You know the in and outs of the World Juniors. Rylan, welcome to the
Yes.
podcast.
So Craig,
Craig.
what information? So welcome first of all.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
look, I was thinking about this all day because I was like, Rylan is going to make an appearance, but his appearance is going to be different than everyone else's because I don't want him talking about the Habs, even though he knows about
Yeah.
the Habs. I want him talking about this guy knows.
See, this guy knows. This guy knows.
He
He
knows,
knows
his
the
stuff.
kids. He knows them.
And we're putting a lot of pressure on
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
But Rylan, I almost called you Liam, but Rylan, give us a general, I don't know. I don't want to go into deep dive into every single prospect, but is there anything, in the top 10 that, stands out to you? A guy like Shane Wright, like where he's going, Savoie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anything like that? Is there anything that you can provide us with information?
Yeah, just before I get into just like draft strategy and how we're getting into all that, it's these next 5 months are absolutely imperative to the next 5 years of the Habs.
Yeah.
Who goes at the deadline will get back, and this year more than ever, it's like one of those drafts like last year where you're gonna see guys go from the 20 to 50 range where you just look back and think, how the hell did that guy fall this
Yeah.
far?
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to start stacking up. If we don't walk out of that deadline with at least 2 extra first round picks, it's a fail in my opinion.
Wow.
We need to
I
be
like
going
an
into,
Sherrod.
like
Definitely.
Lehkonen. If you can, I love Lehkonen. I would love for Lehkonen to stay. And
Mhm.
like unless you're getting a first for Lehkonen, I say we keep him. Like, because what's the hope? You deal Lehkonen for a second round pick and hope that second round pick turns into another Lehkonen. There's no point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
unless you're getting a first round pick for Lehkonen, in my opinion, like you keep him. But yes, getting a first for Lehkonen or an elite prospect like a guy like Kravtsov, I'd love. He's big. He's skilled.
Yeah.
He-
I like craft
I
stuff.
think. But yeah, so
I think you have to
definitely walking
target
into this
Edmonton
draft
first,
with
no?
Edmonton for Lehkonen.
Yeah, like if you target
yeah,
there
I
first, if
think-
they want Sherrod, you target theirs over a Florida, right? Because I don't know,
Yeah,
is
I'd
Edmonton gonna
say-
make the playoffs? They won 3 in a row, but
I think Ken Holland is just not a good GM at this point. He's
No.
old. He's not.
He's stuck in
He's
his
not a-
ways at this
Yeah,
point.
He's stuck in his ways. He's not very into the new modern style of the NHL, and he hasn't adapted. And I think
but he's still not a complete idiot. He knows that if the Edmonton's out of the playoff contention, he's not going to move that pick.
Right.
He's been around long enough to at least have that common sense.
There you go.
But yeah, like I said, walking into this draft with 3 first-round picks is a very, very, very big advantage to have, and our early second, which I believe we kept. I think the Dvorak trade, the second was a couple of years down the line. I think it was 2024.
Right.
Yeah,
but
Bergevin doesn't trade late round picks. He likes those
Yeah.
ones for Trevor.
But yeah, so going into this draft, we've built, and this is the only thing I can credit Bergevin and Timmins for. I mean, they've been here for 10 years. They built a deep prospect pool. We
Mhm.
have, and they were just finding their stride as they left, which it's nice to see, but it was just time to go.
Yeah.
What we have right now is just players to fill out our bottom 6 and middle pairing D for the next 10 years. Like, we have
Mhm.
so many guys that are obviously they're not going to become stars, but guys that will make it to the next level. Jan Mishak, he's obviously has
that's
the
a good one.
skill to become a top line player, but he looks like he'll just be a great complementary, like a Thomas Tatar type of player, middle 6 guy that complements other players on his line. And we know how valuable Thomas Tatar was to this team when you go in depth with it. And just looking at the decor, especially with guys like Harris, Struble, Gooley, Jackeye, Mayu. Jackeye was a great find, by the way.
Mayu, yeah, and Norlander, yeah.
Norlander. Those guys will all be at least the bottom pairing defenseman. Norlander's floor is just like a Vatanen type of power play quarterback, but hopefully he can develop into a top pairing guy.
Mhm.
Gooley is big, he can skate, he can shut down, and hopefully that offense develops into what he can be, a top pairing guy. Mayu, he's big, he's like Petry, he can skate, he can protect the puck, he can score. Obviously there's the off-ice issues that have to be resolved, but he just looks like a solid offensive defenseman, and that decor looks like, at least in terms of a base, we're there. But the reason we need to get those first round picks this year is if you can walk out and get at least one steal out of that 20 to 30 range, or whatever, 17 to 30 range, and hit on that top 3 pick that we end up getting, you are looking gold, because right now we have all the complementary pieces in place. I didn't even mention Romanov. Yolonen, who looks like he's going to be a great piece on the wing. Josh Waugh.
Rylan, do you mind if I just step in here? I just have a quick question. Would you compare the potential situation, the potential outcome, like what you just mentioned, like a steal in the 17 to 30 range, plus hitting on that top 5 or whatever it may be? Would you compare that to what Columbus did last year in a sense?
Yeah, I'd say Columbus definitely put like a turbocharge on their rebuild with that last draft, because Cole Sillinger, I was very high on him heading into the draft. And Ken Johnson obviously is just a wizard.
Yeah, he's so good.
But Columbus isn't even done. They got Boqvist out of that trade, and they got another first round pick this year that's going to be a top 10 pick, because Chicago made a horrible deal for Seth Jones.
Right.
So if you're looking at it, Columbus has 2 top 10 picks again this year, which is insane.
Yeah, sorry, but I just want to say that we also have to keep in mind, because Mark and I haven't really talked about it, but you're absolutely right, because if you think about it, if you maximize your first round picks, that does accelerate the process a little bit, right, on a rebuild.
100%.
Your rebuild,
easier said than done, obviously.
Of course.
Look at our first round picks from 20.
I think Gordon does that. I think Gordon's the guy to do that.
It's definitely not Timmins. But
I think Gordon's the amateur scout in this situation. I know he's the president of hockey operations, but I think he's going to take over this draft floor, and what he did in Boston, he's going to do it here.
Even Ken Hughes knows the class. His son is a first round, at least projected first round pick in the class.
That's right.
John Davidson.
Think about the Americans. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, John Davidson with the Rangers were drafting amazingly. The guy leaves to go back to Columbus, and then they have a crazy draft.
Right.
Yeah,
he's the president of hockey operations.
Jarmo Kekalainen is also just a phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a very smart guy. But they also probably have a very good amateur scouting staff. I don't know what the Habs, if they're going to change that.
I think the Habs are gonna definitely. Gordon's gonna get his hand on it.
Daniel
Dore, who was a scout for him in New York, will most likely be brought in by the end of the season, in my opinion. But
he has to wait. Yeah, he has to wait till the end of the
season. I have a question for you, Rylan, if you don't mind. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but let's shy away from the top 5, because you know what? Like, I know that we could talk about Wright Savoie all day. Are there 3 to 5 guys? I'm giving you a range here, because I don't know, like, I know you know a lot, but I don't want to like put you too much on the spot. Are there 3 to 5 guys that are kind of like in your mind, steals that the Habs should look out for heading into the 2022 draft?
And is Kent Hughes' son one of them?
a good
Yeah,
question.
so I was excited to get into that, but yeah, that Jack Hughes, funny enough.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know too much about him. I know he's a skilled player, but honestly, if we're looking to draft someone, I wouldn't draft a center that late in the draft. I think if we're taking a center or forward, it's gonna be with our top 3 pick.
Yeah.
And looking for more, talented wingers and defensemen with that. Like, if I'm projecting us to pick like 18 and 25, a guy like Ty Nelson, I don't know how much you guys know about him, but
I saw you broke the puck
Mhm.
yesterday.
he is impressive, like to say the least. He's like 5'10", 196. He plays sound defensively. I'm obviously can't compare him to Cale Makar, but he is just so fun to watch, and it's something the Habs have missed. A power play quarterback on the right side. It's a lot of scouts are drooling for a prospect like that, and if he can fall because of his size down to the 18 range, I think he would be a phenomenal prospect for us to take, and fits a positional need, which is obviously amazing to have. Seamus, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, keep going. I should have a question for you when you're done.
Yeah, Seamus Casey, another defenseman, is like Quinn Hughes 2.0. Obviously, like, he's not being talked about in the top 10 as much just because it's small defenseman, but another guy that just plays just an incredible offensive game. You can definitely see the trend because I want a forward to be taken with that top 3 pick. That looking for Denton Matejchuk, left-handed defenseman, so we're a bit deeper on that side, but solid. He's like the analytic darling of this draft. More plays an amazing transition game. But in terms of defensemen, yeah, I'd love Ty Nelson. He is just amazing to watch. Marco Kasper as a forward.
He's from is it Switzerland?
Austria.
Austria. I missed completely.
Isn't Marco Rossi from Austria?
Yeah.
As well,
They played together in the World Juniors last year. He's
okay.
He's a little bit shorter too, right, in size? In terms of
Kasper,
size?
yeah,
I
think
like Marco Rossi.
might be just under 6 foot.
Okay.
Plays a good two-way game, like solid offensive guy. If we end up grabbing a winger with that top 3 pick, like a guy like Slavkovsky, maybe Kasper could be a good second line center behind Suzuki, hopefully. And Philip Messar is the last one I'll go off of for this late first round pick range. He's a smart guy, so fast, and if Gordon's looking to build a fast team, look at a guy like him.
Absolutely.
Before I ask my question, Ryan, is this off the top of your head?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, I have the list of just.
Well, I was at the ODR with him, and this guy's just naming,
Man.
and he's going in depth on every single one.
This guy's talking
I
about
think we should
transitional
hire him.
games.
I think we should hire
As our
him.
head of amateur scouting, we'll give you the
Yeah,
title. I don't mind. Okay, Rylan, if the Habs we'll end it off on this because we're reaching the 10-minute mark. If the Habs have 3 first-round picks this year, there's a lot of pressure in Montreal that you have to hit on QMJHL players. Do I agree?
Oh, come on.
Hey, I'm just mentioning this because it was asked many times to Ken Hughes the importance of Quebec Major Junior Hockey League players being on this team and develop properly. Is there one player that you see in the first round that stands out from the queue, and do you think the Habs should use one of those 3 picks? And I think they might have to, considering the critic they might get if they don't.
Mark,
I'm not saying I agree with it.
Here, man.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that Marc Bergevin got slandered, absolutely slandered, and so did Trevor Timmins for not properly selecting. They did towards the end. This year, they brought in all these Quebecers. They drafted a bunch of them. And right away at this press conference, Kent Hughes was asked the importance of drafting from the queue. And it was brought up that, yes, the same thing that Bergevin said, it's super important, blah, 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 because of the province we're in. So, Rylan, is there a guy that stands out, or do you pick the best? In my opinion, you pick the best player available. I don't care where he comes from. I don't care if it's the first time he skates, but if he's better than everyone else, I take him.
Right.
Is there a guy from the queue, though, Rylan, that you're eyeing?
If there's no must-take guy from the queue this year, it's a pretty weak class from them in general. Plus, we got like guys like Harvey Pinard, Josh Wall, who look like they're going to be solid NHLers. In terms of a guy that I could see us taking, where it's just like where we're drafting and positional need. If obviously you draft the best guy available, but I just don't see. I mean, the late round is this first overall pick in the Q draft a couple of years ago, Tristan Lino. He's 6'2", solid skating, right-handed defenseman. projected to go around that 30 range, which he's a solid player. I like him. He's there's not too much. He plays a good, solid 2-way game, and he's a great skater. Kind of like a lot of the defenseman prospects we've been drafting lately. Kind of like a Struble, Gooley, those kinds of guys. Doesn't play as hard nosed as Gooley, but just a bit smarter with the puck. Smarter just with the way he defends. He's the one guy I could see us drafting just based on, right-handed defenseman.
Based on the filter that we're
But
providing.
I would just go for the best player available.
Anyway,
obviously, I try not to focus too much on positional need. Other than the right wing, I just can't stand us drafting more right wingers right now because
They shouldn't focus on positional need.
No, they
Yeah,
go for best
obviously.
player available.
They've screwed up too many times on positional need.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened with. I mean, KK was obviously. I still think he's going to develop into a pretty solid player, and I still think he was worth a closer to a 5 pick rather than top 3. But look, we could have had Quinn Hughes, and hindsight is 2020. But
Brady Kachuk. But again, like it's easy
anyone,
to say,
yeah,
but
he went
but
seventh
Rylan,
and
you're
all
right.
that.
We've messed up one too many times, and again, like you said,
Yeah.
these next 5 months are going to be crucial. And like I said before, if we don't hit and we kind of mess up these picks plural, then who knows where this franchise goes after this offseason.
Yeah, just to touch on the top pick for a little bit because we haven't done so much of that. If you get the number 1 pick, you take Shane Wright. Like Mark said, and I think he worded it perfectly. If you take him and he doesn't pan out, you look an idiot. But if you don't take him and he pans out, you look like an even bigger idiot.
Right.
So you're
put that on a
banking
t-shirt.
on. Yeah, seriously. But yeah, like if you're Jeff Gordon at this point and Molson and Hughes, you are confident that your development staff can get this done. You are confident that you know what you're doing, and you won't mess up Shane Wright.
Right.
Because he's still a good
And I
hockey
mean,
player.
Of course, it sounds easier said than done, but we're the Habs, so you never know.
Exactly.
But you take Shane Wright, and if not Shane Wright, and we pick 2 or 3, you take the best guy available. I don't care what position he plays. I don't care,
Like Mark said,
nothing
he could have learned how to skate yesterday.
Yeah.
You take the best.
Yeah, if
Exactly.
you could have learned to skate 2 weeks ago, then turn into the greatest player of NHL all the time. You friggin'
Well, the
take
best
Wright.
ODR player maybe. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and that guy right now for me has got to be at this point at least Logan Cooley.
Okay.
It's hard to say because his upside may not be as high as Matthew Savoie. Savoie is just explosive. He's perfect for today's game. He plays like a Barzal, a point. That 5'9" frame does not justify how he plays. This guy can hit like a truck when he wants to. But yeah, right now I think Cooley's just. It's hard to say because I'm calling Cooley the safe pick, good 2-way player. Like a Nick Suzuki type of guy.
Right.
But Habs players are craving that offensive superstar. But
true.
you don't want to mess that pick up. That's the
Absolutely
only
not.
problem with it. But yeah, take the best guy available.
All right. Well, thank you so much to our head of amateur scouting, Rylan Baum, for joining.
I think you should get like a new like a Twitter handle. Like
You
have
should.
to you have to switch that stuff up and write like Rylan like underscore like Habs culture. Scout
Oh,
or
like
something.
where it's like Craig Buttons,
Right.
TSN,
Yeah,
whatever.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do. You
We'll
could put in your
work on that.
bio. You could put head of amateur scouting
For Habs culture.
for Habs culture.
If-
We'll work at the.
unless
we'll
you're
work at the
too
contact
embarrassed,
details.
but
No, I'm all good with it. This is a pretty prestigious,
It's
prestigious
true.
honor to have.
It's very prestigious.
well, we thank you very much, Rylan.
Yeah, thanks
No
a lot,
problem.
Rylan.
See you
Have a
guys
good one,
soon.
man.
See ya.
You too.
All right, so that's
That concludes
that's
it.
all the guests. That was really fun.
That was a lot of fun. I
We're
had a
definitely
great
gonna
time.
do it again
Oh.
soon.
Let's do it next week. No, it's
Yeah.
no, but we encourage new people
Mhm.
all the time to join because look, like I learn new things from you guys. Like
Mhm, yeah,
like,
exactly.
Look, like I'm far from the most knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, I'm
even
not
at-
the
even
draft
at this-
expertise.
even at this
guy.
table. So
yeah.
it's cool. So we appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, so whoever joined, thank you so much. It was super fun. I loved all of your different takes. It's just fresh ideas, or even to get a third opinion, because I know we agree on a lot of things.
We
Like,
do.
We kind of think the same. But yeah, to get a bunch of ideas. Hopefully next time we get like someone who like really, really like rattles our cage or something.
That would be pretty funny, but I don't know if I'd be like confident enough to tell them off.
I don't know. Maybe just some guy who just comes in and just I don't
like
know.
we did, like what happened on the live.
on those Instagram lives. Yeah, I don't know.
Good old times.
But yeah, we'll do this again soon. And maybe we'll even bring in more people. We'll do a longer episode.
would love
maybe
to.
we'll do more people. Stick to the 5 minutes is tough though. Like
It is tough because people have things to say.
yeah. So maybe next time we do 15, 10 minutes. We get some more people on. It'll be a longer episode, but I don't mind. I love listening to this. I love talking hockey. So We could do it again. Is there anything you wanted to talk about before we end it? We're at an hour 4 minutes.
Not really. I think I'll keep it short here. Like, look, like the Habs have played over the past, like since we've recorded, they've played some good games, some bad games, some interesting games, and that's gonna happen. I don't think that there's much. Look, it's we don't need to dive into every single game. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lost season, and like we still watch. But again, I mean,
tough.
we don't need to dissect who played well and who didn't, because at the end of the day, team's not winning. So,
but we do have to do one thing.
of course we do.
The Habs play.
Is it bold prediction time?
Bold prediction time. They play Saturday night against the Edmonton Oilers at the Bell Center in front of 0 fans.
Against the Oil. You know what? You know what sucks? No one brought this up. And
What?
especially Liam, who I'm disappointed didn't bring it up because he craves this guy. Trevor Zegras' goal last night.
Yeah.
Holy cow! In front of no fans, that sucks.
Yeah. He even like did that celly where he like when you like
I
put
love
your
that
hands
celly.
and like trying to listen to the crowd, but there's no crowd.
Yeah,
It's a very nice celly.
That's a great celly.
Yeah, beautiful goal. Like I was shoveling, I was cleaning my car, and my dad opened the door. He's like, "Come see this."
No way.
So I just ran in the house because I was shoveling like in between Evans' goal
Right.
and Zegras' goal.
Okay.
He's like, "Come see this," and I was just watching. I'm like, I've always wanted to see it live.
Right.
And anyways,
I didn't even see it live, to be honest. With
yeah,
you.
I've always wanted to see it live, and I was too busy outside. This weather. But the Habs play Saturday, tomorrow against the Edmonton Oilers. Not only Connor McDavid, but Evander Kane
Oh wow. his
will be in the lineup. Debut. Obviously, it's against the Habs because it has to be,
It just has to be.
and he's probably going to score 2 goals, maybe get an assist to Connor.
You know what though? Like, despite what he's done, he's actually a great hockey player. Like, you watch.
Oh, he's
him.
very talented.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away what
Mhm.
he's done, right? Like, we have to keep
that's-
that in mind a little bit. But
Yeah,
I'm
this
just
guy-
saying, like he's gonna flourish right next to
Yeah.
McDavid.
Yeah,
if-
he
if-
definitely will.
If that happens,
Do you believe in second chances or third or fifth, sixth?
I believe in. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna say yeah,
Yeah.
to that answer.
Yeah.
To that question.
So yeah, bold predictions for Saturday night's game.
I'm gonna go with. Oh God, it's disgusting.
so
I
tough.
don't like it anymore. I wish we could. Whatever. I'm gonna go with. I think Evander Kane's gonna score one.
Okay.
But I think then on the other side of things with Montreal, like I'm gonna go a goal from Evander Kane, but I'm also gonna go a goal from Alexander Romanov.
Oh, exciting!
One of each, and maybe they get into a fight.
Someone
That-
fights Evander Kane.
Wow, do you think
Jeez.
so? Well, he called out Jeff O'Neill.
He did call Jeff
That's
O'Neill.
so. Everyone was like, "This the ink is still fresh on the paper," and this guy's calling TSN reporters out,
Literally.
or TSN analysts. That's insane.
Yeah, he was. I was watching that interview on TSN this morning, and he was like, "Yeah, I wish Jeff O'Neill still played in the NHL." And then the interviewer was like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't need to get into details about what I mean." Well, obviously we know what you mean. You want to beat the shit out of him, like.
So funny.
Anyways, my bold prediction, I'm gonna say, Jesus, I'm gonna say a goal and an assist from Jeff Petry
Okay,
against his former team.
book it. Book it.
Jeff Petry, goal and assist. We got Evander Kane scoring, maybe fighting. Who knows?
That would be really cool though. Like I would like,
I don't think he fights.
but I would really like to see Romanov beat him up like that. Like I don't know if it would happen because Evander Kane's a strong guy.
yeah,
He's known to be a fighter, but
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like that would add some spice to these games that are so boring.
yeah. I don't
You know
know.
what I
I
mean?
think Evander Kane is trying to prove.
I
that he
think
can
he's
play
gonna
hockey.
stay low.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's gonna stay lay
low-key.
low. But we say that, but then he makes these comments. So who
Yeah,
knows?
this guy? But yeah, it's gonna be. Hopefully, it's an exciting game.
You know what? I changed my bold prediction.
All right, here
Instead
we
of the goals, because I don't think that's spicy enough. I'm gonna say
Penalty minutes?
I'm gonna say a Gordie Howe hat trick from both Romanov and Evander Kane.
go. Oh, wasn't the Gordie
and they're
Howe
gonna
hat-
fight each other. It's
Uh,
bold for a reason, Mark.
And then just to add on to the bold prediction, I say Jeff O'Neill shows up.
And he's watching from the stands, jumps on the ice. Oh, we're having too much
him
fun.
and
here.
Mike Johnson. All right, so again, thank you to everyone who joined.
It was a ton of fun, guys. Like really.
Yeah, we'll post something about doing this again soon on Instagram. So for those who are listening and are like, man, I wish I was on this. I would have liked to talk about Dominic Ducharme or Trevor Zegras, whatever. We'll do this again. Just DM us. Just say, I'd like to be on anything. And we'll find a way to include you if we can. So yeah, thanks to everyone who joined. And we'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you on the flip side, guys.